Yo! Hello there! Sonic, am I right? I had a thought the other day. We've had quite the smorgasbord when it comes to Sonic content lately. What is it? We've had a new movie, we've had a Bowser's Fury type game starring Shadow the Hedgehog, we've had an Apple exclusive game, a murder mystery novel, a 2D game with music that sounds like this. Several chapters in the comics, and more recently, a racing game, and Fall Guys 2. Wow, that's quite a lot, huh? Though, there is one thing missing. Do you know what that is? Where's the next mainline Sonic game, huh? After I watched the last Game Awards, and being left disappointed as usual, I realized something. What the frick is this garbage? Still no Blaze the Cat? I realized that we still haven't had an announcement yet for the next Sonic game. And I know it's technically only been 3 years since the last game. But it feels longer than that due to how much content we've gotten lately. Some even say we're in a Sonic renaissance, and honestly, I'm inclined to agree. So while we're waiting for the next game to be announced, instead of just arguing about the length of Sonic's spines all the time online, how about we try to imagine what the next game will be like? This isn't gonna be a very deep or analytical kind of video. I'm mostly just gonna share my quick thoughts, take a look back at past games, and see what I can gather from that. And I think the best place to start is to take a quick look at the game that started this whole era of Sonic. Released in November 2022. I'm of course talking about Sonic Frontiers. It's a good but flawed game. I'd say it's the perfect game to describe a 6 or 7 out of 10. What are the flaws? Inconsistent physics, pop-in, a lacking combat system, varying quality in level design, etc, etc. But, and this is a very big but, when the game reaches its highs, it does that tremendously well. It's actually so peak. The first thing I noticed on my first playthrough of the game was how quick and responsive Sonic felt. He was no longer a tank that was slipping on ice continuously. It was still a bit too stiff for my taste, but I still think it's the best Sonic has ever felt to control since SA2. And then of course, Shadow Generations came along, and we got even tighter and smoother controls than ever before. They even got rid of that stupid end animation after you do a homing attack. Thank gosh for that! I hated that animation so much. Considering the reception of the last 2 games, and especially Shadow Generations that was a success with both fans and critics, I think it's safe to assume that the next game, Frontiers 2 or whatever it's gonna be called, is gonna continue on with the same control scheme, though even more refined. But what about the open world? I hear you asking. Takashi Iizuka has stated in interviews that the open world is here to stay. He said in one interview, I believe before the game was launched, that the open world is gonna be the foundation of the next decade of Sonic games. And if I'm honest, I'm not too sure if I vibe with that. It could be open world fatigue, but I think many can agree that the open world in Frontiers felt kind of empty, disjointed, and honestly kind of unfinished. A common complaint with the game is that people think that the Sonic stuff felt a little bit out of place. You know, all the grind rails and the bounce pads everywhere didn't really fit with the environment of the game. They fixed that in Shadow Generations though, with making the world more seamless, and it basically fit together better. But that game instead had a different problem of feeling a bit boring to explore, at least in my opinion. I just wanted to get to the next stage more than anything. In Frontiers, they at least gave us a reason to explore the world by rewarding us to upgrade Sonic. Like, you know, higher stats and new moves, etc, etc. I'll give them that. Just sucks that, you know, the moves were kinda sucky and the combat didn't have any depth to it. I hope that in the next game, if it's gonna use the same formula as Frontiers with an open world and linear levels, just refine it. Make the open world more Sonic-y, more seamless and fun to look at and explore, and make the linear levels more unique. Oh, I almost forgot. Get rid of the stupid boost and bounce pads everywhere. There's an overabundance of them. Only in a freaking Sonic game will you find a completely working parkour system that the devs implemented, but they'll completely ignore it by placing bounce pads, boost pads, whatever shenanigans everywhere that will just force you down a specific path and take away your controls. Only Sonic Team would do that. You gave us a Sonic that's good to control, so let us please control him. Sonic Team clearly knows that a lot of their fans are adults, so they shouldn't need to hold our hand throughout the whole game. Which brings me to the next topic we're gonna talk about. The music. Do you remember this? Wait. Are we playing a Supersonic? What is this music? Let's go. I think we all had the same reaction when we all heard Undefeatable for the first time. It was the game telling us, Sonic is back, baby! Ah! Sorry. But also that they know their audience. Sonic isn't just for kids. Anyone can enjoy this stupid blue little rodent. Some a bit more than others, but that's besides the point. I assume that Tomoyo Otani is gonna remain as the main composer for the next Sonic game. And considering his latest OSTs, I expect the usual fast-paced EDM and rock. You know, the usual that comes from Sonic games. But in all honesty, we have no idea what the kind of direction the next game is gonna have. I mean, the score, I mean. Never ever in a million years would I have expected to hear metal rock and growling in a Sonic game, up until we heard Undefeatable. Personally though, I just wanna say that I hope we're gonna get themed songs again. We all love Cyberspace 1-2, you know, aka flowing or flowing as, how do you pronounce it? Whatever, flowing. But as much as I love that track, it doesn't really differentiate itself from the rest of the OSTs. All the cyberspace levels kinda sound the same. I like being able to picture what kind of environment I'm in just by listening to the song itself. Anyways, we just gotta wait and see what the game's story and vibe is gonna be like before we know what kind of score we're gonna get. Speaking of which...
Don't fall! One!
Oh, sorry, I was just watching a movie over there. You know Ian Flynn, right? I know it's easy to meme on his writing, but I do think he can make a compelling story. I mean, just read the Zombots arc in the Sonic comics and... Personally, I was on the edge on my seat that entire reading session. The most important thing though, that Ian Flynn gets about Sonic is that he understands Sonic. He understands Sonic and his friends, because Ian Flynn is a Sonic fan. He understands that Sonic is supposed to inspire everyone around him. He's a force of nature that gets stuff done. Frontiers, for example, showed this very well with how Sonic interacted with his friends.
You've got brains like Eggman, speed like me, and can fly with your butt.
Also how he affected Sage. She completely changes her view of the world by just observing Sonic. He's just that guy.
A family born of love and not genetics. Everything I want. I wish I'd never seen this. It was so much easier accepting the future when they were simply enemies.
I could delve deeper into this topic if I wanted to, but instead I'm just gonna recommend you to watch this video right here instead. That does an excellent job explaining what makes a good Sonic story. I'm just happy that Sonic isn't just a laughingstock anymore, you know? Like in the 2010s, we've had to endure Sonic making stupid jokes and the story never taking itself seriously. The Sonic Twitter is known for, making fun of Sonic all the time, and it just feels like damage control more than anything, especially with the games being mid and straight up bad.
Oh, hey, Bob! Hey, Bob!
What's up?
Did you play the new Sonic game?
Nah, I didn't. I heard it was kinda mid.
Yeah, right? Sonic sucks so bad, right? Who even plays Sonic? Seriously, gosh, everyone who plays Sonic is a freaking loser, am I right? Baldy nose hair! Am
You
I
okay
right?
there?
Am I right,
Yeah. Yeah.
Am I right? Yeah,
It just gets tiring after a while. That's why I'll take Ian Flynn's writing any day over what we had previously. I can endure a couple of in-your-face references if it means that Sonic will take himself seriously again. That's all I want and care about. Oh gosh, I promised myself that this video wasn't gonna be too long, but... So in short summary, I think the next game is gonna use Frontiers and Shadow Generations as blueprints. We'll most likely get some kind of a new gimmick, like the trail thingy in Frontiers and the Doom powers in Shadow Generations. Though, I have no idea what it could be like. Most likely something that's gonna tie into the story, but who knows. Maybe they're gonna let us play as more characters other than Sonic. I have nothing against playing as Sonic's friends. I think the more the merrier, you know? Oh, if we're really lucky, they'll let us play as Blaze the Cat. Before I end this video though, there's one last thing I gotta touch on. The next Sonic game cannot be mid. It literally can't. Why? If you're an older Sonic fan like me, you may remember how we back in the 2000s would get a new game almost yearly. Sometimes for better and sometimes for worse, of course. It wasn't unique to Sonic or anything, these fast development cycles. The point is though, if the game was bad, we were more forgiving back then, because we had the next game just coming up around the corner. Cause now, with longer development cycles, Sonic Team can't afford it anymore. It's a big risk with long development cycles. what is it, 4 or 5 years for one game to come out? It was 4 years between Sonic Lost World and Sonic Forces. Freaking Forces! We waited that long for one of the most mid games in existence, and then it took another 5 years just to get Sonic Frontiers. And actually, mind you, Frontiers was supposed to come out 1 year earlier, but they delayed it because the playtesters didn't like it, and I think that might have saved the game actually. I remember reading some interviews back then. After Forces released, the franchise was pretty much dead again. Sonic Team had no budget anymore to work with. It was one heck of a time to be a Sonic fan back then. Ugh. The point is, they have the momentum now. After getting high scores from both fans and critics, it's just the final icing on the cake left. The next mainline game to set in stone that Sonic is finally good now. After years and years of inconsistency in quality, they can finally break the Sonic cycle. So Sonic Team, please don't fumble this. You've earned so much goodwill and trust over the years, so take the time you need. Have a clear vision in mind, don't overthink, and stick to the vision. And hopefully in 1 to 2 years, we'll all be sitting here and talking about how the next game is great. That's all we can wish for. I hope I'll have the motivation to make a review of that game when it comes out. It'd be really fun. Oh well, that's for future me to decide about. For you now? Thank you so much. It means a lot that you watched through all this way, and I didn't even think I was gonna be able to make this video. But here it is. So, what do the YouTubers say nowadays? What is it? Yeah, like and subscribe, I guess. Gosh. Anyways, thank you. And take care. Bye.